Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Rose Writes and I write and narrate Miraculous Ladybug fan fiction. Big shout out to G Kitty Art on Instagram for letting me use their amazing artwork in my thumbnail. Their socials will be linked below, so go show them some love. This is my first Christmas one-shot of December, so if you don't want to miss any of them, don't forget to subscribe. I will be doing a one-shot for each part of the love square and maybe a few extras too. Without further ado, please enjoy Mistletoe Kisses. I'm glad you finally decided to come with me, m'lady. Cat Noir bowed deeply, offering Ladybug a fresh rose. She stared at it for a moment before taking it. A smile spread across her pink lips as she stared up at him with her bluebell eyes. Not that you gave me much of a choice, she said with a laugh. You've been asking for 2 years, so I had to see what the surprise was. Why did it have to be at night, though? It's freezing. Ladybug held herself tightly. For normal patrols, she had crafted some winter gear to go over their suits. A scarf for Cat and a shawl for herself, and hats for both of them. Their costumes did a decent job of protecting them from everything except the cold. Oh! Cat exclaimed. That's right, close your eyes. She did as she was asked, hearing Cat bustle around the rooftop, running and leaping. She giggled, wondering what that sly partner of hers could be up to. Cat, what's going on? Can I look yet? She said impatiently. Cat had been asking Ladybug to come to this exact rooftop for 2 years, but more insistently in the past week, so she thought she'd humor him. Why did she feel nervous? Butterflies were having a party in her stomach. It's probably nothing. Yeah, nothing. Not yet. Cat struggled as he dragged something across the concrete floor. He took a deep breath, exhaling slowly. Okay. He slipped behind his lady, placing clawed hands over her eyes so she couldn't peek early. His breath came out shakily as he exhaled, partially from the cold and maybe a bit due to nerves of his own. You can look, m'lady. His hands parted her eyes. They fluttered open, adjusting to the light that had become so much brighter. On the railing of the rooftop, dainty tea lights flickered as the cold breeze flew about. A tree sat in the middle of the roof, perfectly dressed with ornaments. Where had he been hiding that? She wondered. Cat was always so full of surprises. Ladybug stumbled a few steps forward, taking in the beautiful scenery. Wow, Cat. It's beautiful. You did all this for me? She turned to face her partner, his glowing green eyes further illuminated by the moonlight. He gently took her hands in his. Ladybug's eyes shot down, but she didn't jerk away. Being this close to him felt strange and comfortable at the same time. I would do anything for you. Aren't you glad you came now? Ladybug stroked Cat Noir's hands with her thumbs, avoiding his striking gaze. I am. She hesitated. I'm just sorry it took me so long. That's okay, m'lady. His voice soft and low. Ladybug's breath caught in her throat. Had he always been so handsome? Maybe it was a mix of the situation or the moonlight shining down on his perfect features. She stared, inspecting every inch of his face. But Cat caught her, much to her chagrin. He smirked. What are you staring at? She suddenly broke contact with him, turning away so he wouldn't see all the flushing of her cheeks. Nothing, she stammered. I was just lost in thought, that's all. She still faced away from her partner, attempting to get her blushing under control. Oh yeah? What you thinking about? Cat stood over her shoulder, waiting for her to turn and face him. She slowly did, meeting his eyes. It's just that... Her voice trailed off. Whatever she had planned on saying flitted out of her brain. She wrung her hands anxiously. This wasn't like her. She was in love with someone else, but then, maybe she wasn't? Adrien Agreste was just a dream, a boy whom she idolized. But this boy stood in front of her, looking at her with a fondness she had never experienced before. Maybe this was real. Cat was real, and maybe, just maybe, these feelings were real too. Hello, Earth to Ladybug, he joked, taking her shoulders lightly. Even though he may have been kidding, there was a bit of concern behind his neon eyes. She shook her head. Sorry, Kat. I think it's just the cold getting to me. I should probably just... Her eyes begrudgingly left his. Wait. He held his hands to stop her before she said anything more. Not yet. I got you something. A Christmas present. That's right. Christmas was in a few days. She had been so busy taking orders from her Etsy shop for the holidays that she hadn't had time to finish his present, a black and green hoodie with cat ears that mimicked his superhero ones. Instead of excitement, her face fell. Kat, I really appreciate it, but I don't have anything for you. I mean, I do, but I haven't finished it yet, but this is Ladybug. Kat interrupted her from her ramblings. I didn't get you a gift so you'd get me something. The best gift of all is fighting by your side every single day. It's seeing the way your eyes light up when you save someone. It's seeing your mind work to figure out your lucky charm. It's standing right here in the cold with you, m'lady. The blush transferred to his golden skin. Despite the chill, Ladybug's face felt hot, and this time she couldn't hide. Kat, that's so sweet. Thank you. Was he for real? She always knew Kat said he loved her, but she thought it was nothing more than simple infatuation. But seeing the way he gazed at her just now, she realized this was so much more than that. Well, I love you, so... And there it was. He loved her. She was sure about it. And her? How did she feel? He picked up the present neatly wrapped in red and green paper. It almost looked too neat. Cat Noir didn't seem like the type who would have the patience for wrapping a present well. But then again, it wouldn't be the first time she'd been surprised by him. She held the small box in her hands, turning it over like she had never seen a present before. Cat chuckled at her. It's called a present, LB. You gotta open it. He teased. Right. She offered him a smile, then slipped a thin finger under the ribbon, pulling it open, carefully ripping the paper in a way that wouldn't destroy it. Ladybug reached into the box and pulled out a familiar green beret. Wait, she had made that beret. I hope you like it. Do you remember Marinette Dupin-Chang? Yeah, I think so. You saved her from Evillustrator, right? Ladybug was a pretty terrible actress. Acting clueless about knowing Marinette was difficult, but hopefully he wouldn't pick up on her discomfort. Yeah, well, I found her Etsy shop. She's a super talented designer and she made this from scratch. Cat Noir said as if Marinette was his best friend, bursting with pride. She couldn't stop herself from feeling embarrassed by the compliment. What's wrong? Don't you like it? She hated seeing him look disappointed, but she also couldn't reveal that she was the one who made it. He bought it from me. If I dug deep enough, I could probably find Cat's order which would reveal who he was. Knowing him, he would probably have a cat-themed username. Snap out of it, Marinette, she thought, internally cringing. Finding out who he was based on a username. She had created and sold so many of these hats that it would be impossible to find him out, even if she wanted to, which she didn't. I love it. Of course I love it. Thank you, Cat. It's beautiful. She took off the fluffy beanie-type hat she had been wearing before and situated the emerald green beret on her head. Green suits you, m'lady, and it matches my eyes. He took a step closer to her, batting his cat-like eyes. She giggled, stepping back from him to look upon the Christmas tree that he had smuggled on the roof somehow. I'm scared to ask, but this Christmas tree, did you drag it all the way up here? Something like that. He stood next to his partner, clearly proud of his work. His eyes drifted up to the small plant placed near the top of the tree. Who put this on my tree? Mistletoe? He feigned surprise, a hand on his chest like a little southern woman might do while saying, Why, I never! The small plant had been tied in a ribbon and placed delicately on one of the tree's upper branches, begging to be kissed under it. Ladybug just rolled her eyes. Cat, Do you want to know a fun fact about mistletoe? Cat heard a lilt of rejection in Ladybug's voice, so he decided to not even let her continue. She stared at him as he looked forward, eyes not leaving the tree. Her eyebrows furrowed together in confusion. Okay, sure? Her words sounded more like a question than a statement. Mistletoe is actually a parasite that attacks living trees and can eventually kill them. It was also named after bird poop. Cat spoke as if this were common knowledge, watching Ladybug's face shift from one of shock to disgust. Ew, gross! That fact is not fun. How do you even know this? She took a step back from him as if his words offended her. He just laughed. I was homeschooled for most of my life, so I took a course on herbology. I've got a sea of worthless facts in my noggin. He took one hand and knocked on his head. She smirked, pulling out her yo-yo as if about to take off. You never cease to amaze me, kitty. Before she could throw the magic device, Cat Noir took her wrist. Wait, please. I placed the mistletoe in the tree. Cat confessed as if he were admitting a crime. Of course he did. Ladybug knew that. For what purpose? Well, she had an idea. I know, Minu. She turned to face him, a new warmth lining her face. She had nearly forgotten that she had been cold earlier. Cat Noir made her feel things she had never felt before, or things she thought she had felt. He cared about her, truly cared about her. With him, she felt seen and important, and not just seen as a superhero, but as a girl that he loves. Oh, he rubbed his neck nervously and began to stutter. I mean, do you want to, He breathed out a heavy sigh. Ladybug didn't chide him for not being good with words. She didn't leave. She looked at him with that smile that set his heart on fire, offering a spotted hand to him. He hesitantly took it, and she pulled him in close. She wrapped her arms around his neck, fingers entangled in his blonde hair. Ladybug, not that I am not super happy, because I am, but what are you doing? I thought you were in love with someone else. He wanted to kick himself for asking, but this seemed out of character for her. She smiled softly, leaning her head into his chest. I've realized that you've always been here and supported me. I know we don't really know who each other is behind the masks, but I think you'd like me. Milady, I've said since day one that whoever you are, I love you. I wouldn't just like you, I'd love you. I already do. He took a gulp to ask the question that had been on his lips dying to emerge. And how do you feel about me? She picked up her head to look at his face, brightly lit from a mix of moonlight and the nightly rays emitted from the Eiffel Tower. I think that I love you too. Her cheeks became even more rosy than usual, dusting her pale cheeks. Really? He said in disbelief. She loved him too. Well, she thought, but still. Those words were beautiful. He wished he had recorded them so he could play them over and over again. Of course. Now that's an actual fun fact. She flicked his bell and he took her hand, holding it close to him. With your permission, milady? She said nothing, smiling as he moved in slowly. Their lips met. Cat placed his hand on either side of her face, feeling the chill of her skin. But despite that, her kiss felt warm and welcoming. They parted to look at each other, staring blankly for a few seconds. Wow, was all Cat managed to say. Yeah, Ladybug said quietly. Wow. Again? Cat asked timidly. Again. Their lips came together once more, embracing each other fiercely. Beneath the Parisian sky, next to the mistletoe, they fell in love. This was the best Christmas gift of all. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like this video and leave me a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe as well. As always, stay miraculous.